What do you mean by when things started to go south? What was happening that, because I mean it was a huge shock for everyone. The show was coming out in a week and we all hear you are no longer with the company. And we're like, what the just happened?
So we have a 4-minute clip from an interview with former X-Men 97 creator Beau Demayo, who also worked on Blade. And we are going to react to it here live and kind of see what everybody has to say.
Indeed.
You know, Marvel Studios Animation Division, no one was really looking at what we were doing. And then when they started to look is when things started to go south, because I was just like, guys, we got it. We've got it handled. Stop trying to hitch your wagon to something that you guys have not been bothered with.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. What do you mean by when things started to go south? What was happening that, because I mean it was a huge shock for everyone. The show was coming out in a week and we all hear you are no longer with the company. And we're like, what the just happened? So
to clarify, for people who don't know, Beau Demayo was involved with X-Men 97 and whatever. And then there were some allegations and things that came out right before, a week before the show came out, and they kind of fired him.
Literally out of nowhere. Or at least it seemed to come out of nowhere.
Well, it did. It did seem to come out of nowhere. It was very strange. But apparently, according to Beau Demayo, it seems like there might have been some stuff going on behind the scenes. And shocking to nobody who's been paying attention, that Marvel, who claims to care about diversity and inclusion, may not actually care as much as they say they do.
What? No way.
And then the show comes out and the show's amazing. Like, what's going on? And then we start hearing crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about when things went south.
And this is where, you know, I talked to you before this. Like, there are certain things I have to talk around because there is a lawsuit that is currently happening between Marvel and myself right now and Disney.
Yes.
Which is complicated in its own way. But, you know, it was a shock to you guys. It was not a shock to me. I think as the show, how do I put this in a very diplomatic way? I was left to my own devices because no one I felt really outside of Brad Winterbaum believed that this show could be anything good. And when they put on a day-to-day producer who just creatively we did not see eye to eye, and she and I were at loggerheads a lot of the show, and maybe to my detriment, I just didn't listen to what she was trying to make the show, which was something that was much more kid-friendly, much more, you know, talking down. I just was not.
So in other words, the original, Beau was making a certain kind of thing, and the other person wanted it to be more talking down, more kid friendly, which wasn't necessarily how the original show went. And Beau didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, my sense was something that was somewhat homophobic and racist. It was just a very sanitized version of the show.
So what he's saying here is he felt that the version of the show that they were making was actually very homophobic and racist. Now, I don't know what that was going on there, and I'm not going to read into that too much. I know when people hear those buzzwords, homophobia and racism, these days those words have lost a lot of their meaning and can be used in a lot of different ways. However, it's interesting that those words would be used over something that Marvel themselves is making, bastions of inclusivity and diversity, create something that does the opposite.
But she had joined after I'd already done season 1. And we were ready, but most of the episodes had shipped. They were being animated. And it was just very clear to me, my sense, that she would prefer there be someone else sitting in that seat that was easily controllable.
Now, you also mentioned, and something I really, really appreciate about you, is that Marvel or someone made mention that the fans don't want to see the X-Men stories. They want to see new original stories that the Disney Marvel has come up with it. And you said,
no,
shut up.
Me and Beau Demayo, we're not going to see eye to eye on things, and I doubt I'm alone here. But the fact that they were saying, oh, fans of X-Men don't want to see X-Men in the X-Men show. They want to see new things. What? The comics that were successful that did a lot, that sold and whatever. We don't want those. We want the ones that only sell in the thousands.
Odd.
No, we don't. We want the actual X-Men comics. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any logic here.
There is no logic. It's Marvel.
Oh yeah, good point.
This, I'm a huge X-Men fan, and I was very intent when I was hiring for the show that anybody who joins this show has to be a fan. I did not subscribe to what Nate Moore talked about of that it's somehow a bad thing to have fans making these projects. Maybe in the 90s and 80s, maybe it was the fans didn't have access to filmmaking knowledge and craft and all that stuff. But now you do have plenty of massive fans of so many nerdy things who are also highly qualified craftspeople in the making of TV and film. So that adage just doesn't make sense to me anymore. But what ended up happening is you hire a bunch of fans, they may have in their head the vision of the show that they wish you were making.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are the executive producer and showrunner, it is your show. And I don't mean to say that from a place of ego. It's my ass on the line. I'm the one who opens to the studio and to
You're the captain.
I would use Star Trek very often as a metaphor of like, I don't like to seal the bulkheads and leave people behind sometimes, but that's what you do for you say
Right.
Because your job is larger than just protecting engineering or teleporter or whatever. And, there were individuals who felt that the comic should be left behind and, they want to put their imprint on it. And while I can be accused of doing the same, I also knew I trusted my gut and my fandom of X-Men that I would do it right by fans.
So there was a lot more, and I would urge you, if you have not, you can go watch the entire thing. It's an hour and a half. Comics and Everything did a great job with this. And I want to mention, she's also mentioning about Blade, and I did watch the entire thing, so I do know what he said. But he's also been posting about it today. I don't know if anybody's seen. Beau Demayo posts today when there's an announcement about Kevin Feige's decision to pivot from Kang to Doctor Doom, and he was saying, "Oh, even before that happened to the actor, we had started to realize that Kang wasn't Thanos." Beau Demayo says this: "In 2023, I was working on season 2 of X-Men '97, who has Kang in it. Majors was definitely who would have voiced the character. I remember seeing John Wick 4 in March 2023 with a top exec at Marvel at the Americana Movie Theater in Glendale the weekend the news broke about Major's legal trouble, discussing how Kang was definitely the game plan, and the studio was afraid. He is straight up lying. At Variety needs to do journalism and stop being a contracted PR firm for at Marvel Studios' pathetic attempts at damage control."
Boom!
Here's also posting about Blade being delayed. He says, "Let's talk about the meetings where top executives would talk about and objectify my body while telling me, 'I would have pitched that idea, Beau, but you can because you're black.' Or one top executive telling me in front of the crew how woke they were for hiring a Wesley Snipes lookalike as the writer for the film. You can't tell black stories if you don't respect black people. And at Marvel Studios can apparently do neither unless Coogler is involved." If you're wondering, what do you mean by objectify the body? He actually responded to someone in the comments. I can read you what he exactly said, okay? This is going to blow your mind. So someone's like, "Hey, you're a bodybuilder. This is normal, whatever." Beau Demayo says that people were grabbing his bicep and chest without asking.
Creepy!
And literally clarifies that they jokingly called him Wesley Snipes because we all look alike. Long story short, Marvel is literally being like blatantly racist behind the scenes. I don't have anything to say. Like, look, I'm not going to say that I'll agree with everything that Beau has to say, but that is just absolutely insane.
Not okay.
Like the video break, the algorithm style, share with your crew. Escape life's hell, from spooky memes to to advice obscure. Here's your dark solace with humor as a cure.